Yeah, I don't know how to do that, so it'll be okay. It looks like I am live. Just trying to figure out the angle here. Let's see, I've got from here, here. What are my borders? Hello, Joe Hardy. Hello, Geek Workshop. I'm dealing with a setup that's less than ideal. I'm balancing my phone on a lampshade and trying to see if I can draw here. Not easily. Give me just a moment to get set up, guys. I'll figure this out. Let's see, maybe... I think I might have to give myself an artificial border here. Let's see, like...
Some cups and like an ice tray that might work to hold things up.
No, I'm doing good. Hi. Thanks, Chrissy. So, I am... Let's see. I'm in New York City, everybody. I'm at a hotel, so I don't have my sort of normal tools or anything, and I might not be able to work quite as long, but I'm going to try to stick to the idea of Inktober, which is to draw something every day. We'll see how that goes. It's also really hot. Am I here till Friday? I'm here through Monday. I'm choking on water. Hey, Sigamigs. I see your note there. One sec. Jesus Christ.
Hang in there.
Hold on. Oh, I was trying to drink a glass of water and I'm choking. This is some live stream setup I got going. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Maybe don't say
Jesus Christ.
Some people find that offensive.
Okay, okay. Szechuan sauce at McDonald's, I didn't realize that that was out. Maybe I will do something like that. I am having a really hard time catching my breath, folks.
Why don't you pause the stream and come back to it?
Whew. Okay. Well, that's lovely. What am I going to draw? Well, the suggestion is long. And if I could raise it up so that I have more room to draw, I'd feel better about it, but I can't think of a way to pick this whole camera up. I'm thinking this through.
Can you put the lamp back on that and use a different lamp for the light source?
I'm gonna put it all the way up here. Let's see what that would do. What would that do? Bear with me, I'm trying some weird things.
Getting your reflection in the mirror?
No. Whew. I'll be right there, guys. I'm thinking something through.
You look
little dizzy. Reconnect. Very bad connection. All right.
Comes back up.
I think it's working. All right. I think I'm live now. I think it's working.
Box of carrots.
I'm not sure if I'm live streaming or not. I can't seem to get a good signal in the hotel, so I'm really not sure what's going on.
Can you Livestream on 4G?
I hope it's working. All right, this is not quite going the way I want, but you know what? I'm just going to start inking and try to correct it that way. Shirley is watching, Chrissy. Your mom is watching.
Hi, Mommy!
What kind of pens or pencils is he using, asks Killa F89. I like using this Graph Gear 1000 by Pentel. It's a mechanical pencil, but I like how it's weighted. It's nice and heavy in the back here. So it's just a really comfortable pencil to grip. That's what I like to usually use, but I'm not actually doing much penciling. The focus is all on inking. I'm going back and forth between a few different pens, but the primary ones I'm using are this Tombow, which is technically a calligraphy pen, and then a Pigma FB. That said, I am starting to get the hankering for trying out like a nib pen. I feel like I should be doing something like that. Sorry, excuse me. So what are you all up to tonight? Anything good? Is that Mr. Fantastic? Close, CSNG. I'm actually going to try to draw Elongated Man. I'm confused. Why did you mod me? Oh, because... Sorry, Jesse. I'm actually probably going to undo that. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed your time as a moderator. I accidentally clicked the moderate button. I don't want any moderators right now, but if I need some in the future, I promise I will give you consideration since I accidentally already made you one. So I'm taking that back, but it is not on you. It was just me making a weird mistake. I've been reading an interesting comic book about making comic books. I mean, it's fictional actually, but it's by the guys that did the book Death Note, and it's about two middle school students. They're like 15 years old, and they decide that they want to be professional comic book creators, and it's all about their journey and sort of learning what you need to do in order to become successful. It's quite charming. I like it quite a bit. So yeah, this is Ralph Dibny, the Elongated Man. He sort of has the same powers as Mr. Fantastic. He can stretch, maybe not quite as much as Plastic Man or Mr. Fantastic. He can just sort of be malleable, and like he stretches his limbs and his neck a lot. But he's also a detective, which is kind of something that makes him a little unique. He's a charming guy. I need a smaller technical pen for these fine details. What do I have here? This is what I should be using. Ah, thanks, Mike L. Glad you stumbled onto the show. Hope you continue to enjoy it. So I bumped into a comic creator. I didn't go to the con today, but I was just walking around in Manhattan just now, and I saw Todd McFarlane. And of course I know who he is, but why would he know who I am, you know? Of course he doesn't. But we got eye contact as we're walking towards each other, and I couldn't help it. Like, I just didn't know what to do. I saw, like, we were face to face looking at each other in the eyes, and so I go, "Hi there," as though I know him. I'm just like, "Hey there." And he's just like confused. He gave like a big smile that was totally confused, like, am I supposed to know this guy? Like, have we met before? And he just sort of goes like, "Hi," and we kept walking. I didn't think to ask him for a picture. It just happened so quickly because I wasn't expecting to just bump into him on the streets of Manhattan. But I look back and I'm totally amused at how I was just like, "Hey there," like we're old friends. Hi. I didn't know that Todd McFarlane did live drawings, Mike L. That's interesting. I'm glad that the Osamu Tezuka one made you laugh. I had a lot of fun in LA doing that episode with my pal Jason. That was a blast. All right, let's firm this guy's details up, right? Trying to keep him kind of skinny. He's muscular because he's a superhero, but I don't want him too muscular, so it's a little tricky here. Figuring out how to go about that. I just won't overly define his muscles. And I'm sorry, my hand is kind of going to block this stuff all the time. The most famous person I've met in Manhattan was a picture of Scarlett Johansson. Wow, congratulations, Tamika Flynn. It's not every day that you bump into a picture of Scarlett Johansson. That's only when she actually has a movie to promote that you see something like that. I'm impressed. The funny thing about like New York Comic Con is you really do bump into these people, but like it's always on a crowded floor. They're trying to get to, you know, a panel or a signing or something. So a lot of times if they're really big, you'll be like, "Oh my God, that is Stan Lee," like walking like 10 feet from me, but you know, he's being escorted by, you know, personnel at the convention or something, so it's not like you actually get to talk to him. I remember one panel I was sitting in the audience, and all of a sudden a dwarf comes up on a little trike, not a trike, what do you call them, the razor scooters. A little dwarf came up on a razor scooter, pulled in front of me, and sat down in the seat next to me. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy looks a little familiar, but who is it? And all of a sudden I realized that it was Kenny Baker, the guy that plays R2-D2, and that was kind of cool. That was actually in the days before cell phones, so I didn't even think to ask him for a selfie back then. It just wasn't really an easy option. I mean, you might have your camera with you, but it was much more obtrusive and interruptive and stuff, so I just sat next to him and we both enjoyed the panel. I don't really even remember what the panel was for now, but I very clearly remember being surprised that Kenny Baker decided to sit next to me. Or I remember one time I was walking through the New York Comic Con, very crowded, just on the main floor, sort of near all the pavilions like Marvel and DC and Lego and all of those guys. And there's a guy sort of walking kind of fast in my direction, but looking behind him because he's having a conversation, and he bumps into me, and he's smaller, so he almost falls over. I sort of caught the guy and stood him up. I was like, "Oh, you know, are you all right?" And he's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, "It's not a big deal, not a big deal." And that was Seth Green. That was like, so that was kind of cool. That's just the stuff that happens at the New York Comic Con for probably everybody that goes, I guess. Happens to me, anyway. And I like it. This, yeah. So I hope my stories are mildly entertaining. Ideally they're fantastically entertaining. They're just so good, but I'll settle for sort of a polite chuckle. That's pretty good. Yeah. Looking forward to anything in particular for NYCC? Asks Sigamigs. Really just the opportunity to hang out with friends, see people that I don't get to see all the time. That's about it. And I think I'll only go for the one day, and my fiance and I will spend the rest of it just sort of doing our typical hanging out in New York stuff. We like this city. Right, Chrissy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Correct.
Shirley says that Chibi isn't impressed. Chibi is one of my cats.
Not impressed with your drawing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'll just have to keep working until I can one day impress my cat.
Did you want these for your video?
No, but thank you. Can I have a little bit of water here? I like to see comic recreations. What do you mean by recreations? Who's in the background? That's my fiance Chrissy. We're in a hotel room.
Or a chipmunk.
She says, or it's a chipmunk.
It's a very small room.
It is a very small room. Because we're in Manhattan.
Do they want me to shut up? Am I like...
Nope, nobody's complaining about you. Separate beds, I hope. No premarital relations. I'll never tell.
Did Shirley read that?
No. Like the scene from Spider-Man 2 when he leaves his costume. Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about then. What an iconic drawing. That was really nice how Raimi did an homage to that. Or in the recent Captain America Civil War, obviously they got the sort of iconic moment of Cap and Tony Stark facing off. That was pretty cool. I am not as chatty as usual because I'm just a little tired, folks. Jet lagged. You know, we had to get up really early today, and just sort of hanging in there. I'm just trying to fulfill my obligation to myself to keep drawing. Happy to talk. Just tired enough that it's hard for me to easily think of what to say. Hope you understand. Do you have any tips on hands? I've been drawing all my life, and I feel like I'm the Liefeld of hands. Mike L., I feel the same way. You know, there's a lot of professional artists that do get to the point where they have a lot of shortcuts for how they approach hands. But I think before you can get to those shortcuts, you have to really just like have your anatomy down. So I think just like drawing still life and like drawing specifically hands over and over and over again is about the only thing you can do to get better at that stuff. I wish that there was some sort of easy fix, but I can't think of one. Practice, 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 right? I decided I want to see what his costume looks like if I fill half of it in black. I'm going to try to be bold. It's Inktober. My temptation is always to just sort of show anatomical detail. I'm going to like totally go against my instincts, and this part of his costume is usually just sort of a light purple, but I'm going to see what it looks like if I just use pitch black, covering up any real anatomical details, and allow the reader to fill the rest in with their imagination. It's not bad. I'm experimenting, you know? I'm just experimenting. Any restaurants in New York City you'd recommend? You know what? I mean, I'm not a guy that lives here, so I don't feel like I'm plugged in enough to know the latest and greatest. And so I'm just visiting. I've visited many times, but I don't personally have a lot of like big recommendations like you must try Chef Scampazar's newest creation. Instead, I do have some of my favorites here. One of them includes a place you can go almost anywhere, but I like to go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. It's just one of my personal favorites, so I always enjoy getting to take some time with friends and sit down at Ruth's Chris and have a nice steak and drink. Yeah. Chrissy, can you think of any good restaurants?
We need recommendations.
Yeah, we need recommendations. Jesse says that his, or is it Jesse or is it Jesus, says that his problem, he thinks, could be proportions. All I can say is I wouldn't experiment too much with foreshortening. First, just sort of look at your own hand, look at photos of hands in every position, and just try to draw literally what you see. And eventually you'll form a 3D model in your own mind. You'll be able to rotate that around and fine-tune it to the position you want. Now, I say that, I'm not myself necessarily able to accomplish that. Like, that's hard. Proportions aren't a huge issue for me, says Michael. I think depth is more my issue, and it ends up feeling like a proportion issue. Chrissy, do you remember the name of the recent book you got on proportions?
From the library?
Yeah.
Perspective in Action.
There's a book called Perspective in Action that looks pretty good. Chrissy is an artist as well. That's why I'm asking her, since she's here. And she loves getting reference books from the library, seeing what she can learn. And the latest is Perspectives in Action. So maybe take a look and see if that's at your library as well. Might help.
I also just commented in the chat.
Oh.
About a YouTuber that is.
Okay, yep. Chrissy also points out that there's a YouTuber named Proco who has really great hand drawing tutorials based on bone and muscle anatomy. And that's definitely a great point. You know, if I'm just going to look at my hand and draw it, that's one thing. But you need to also sort of be able to draw just the skeleton and then just the musculature before there's any skin. And if you can draw that and have it like look convincing, it's pretty easy to then cover it up with a sheath of skin and just deal with the shadows and stuff. So studying bone structure and muscle structure can definitely be a huge help. I totally agree with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Isn't this nice having a second artist here that we can like ask these questions of? Chrissy, maybe you should be a moderator and just hang out.
Yeah.
Just hang out doing absolutely nothing while I draw.
I'll
Except
file my nails and chew gum.
you'll be my you'll be the Andy Richter to my Conan O'Brien.
What's the name of that secretary in Ghostbusters?
Janine Melnitz.
I could be your Janine.
You could be my Janine. I'm Egon, you're Janine. I'll be Egon. Nothing wrong with Egon. This pen is splitting on me a little. This brush, it's not giving me a very precise line. It's sort of breaking up a little bit. And this one's in even worse shape. It's really only good for filling. So tomorrow at the Comic-Con, I should probably look for some more pens.
Yay! Art supply!
It's a big thing that we do here, Chrissy and I, is we look at art supply stores. Maybe this one will work.
Your noggin's getting in the video. Just so you know.
Thank you.
But it doesn't look bad.
This is a pretty silly drawing. I feel like it's really far away. I'll just sort of like do this for a minute, like to bring it a little closer. That's what I'm working on.
Is that his hand?
Yeah, he stretches.
Nice.
The theme for this day is long, so I'm trying to draw a guy that like can get extra long.
I want a high five from him.
You want a high five from him?
Yep.
I'm the Elongated Man, and I charge $5 per high five. Well, this is a weird setup, but I am having a good time. I just feel bad that I keep blocking the view. Maybe tomorrow I'll have figured out something a little superior. But there's also a good chance that if I do this tomorrow, it could be later. It could be, you know, tomorrow could be a long day. All right, let's see. Jesus says that he'll check out his local library. Mike L. does a Conan O'Brien reference. Jake Terlecki says, Bridgman's life drawing is another good one. Okay, I haven't read that particular one. Plum Dog says, Pentel pocket art brush seems fairly well regarded. Okay. Good to know.
I've heard good things about that.
You've heard good things about that? Okay. But I wasn't the one that recommended it, so let's ignore all that. This is my show, and I'm the star. Nobody upstages me! I am the star!
Someone's
See ya, Michael. Have a good one. No, have a great one. You've earned it. I wonder, I'm going to try to fix something with a white pen, but I'm not sure if it'll work or not. Oh. Maybe. Nah, it's not quite the pen that I was hoping for. There are pretty good whiteout pens out there. I wasn't sure if this one would be or not. I would say not. In fact, I think I just muddied the drawing. Yeah, that doesn't look good at all. Darn. This is a Jelly Roll 08 from Japan. Garbage. I thought it was a whiteout pen. It ain't. Let's see. Shirley calls me a prima donna. Sure. John White says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, John. Who is your favorite villain? For some reason, it's Mysterio for me. That's from Jesus. Excuse me, Jesus, probably. I say Jesus. I know Jesus at work. Who is my favorite villain? I would say that when he's written well in comics, for a supervillain, I kind of like Magneto, because he can even become sort of a good guy. I think he's a good guy right now. I also really like Dr. Octopus. I like Dr. Doom. I think that these guys are fairly well defined in their motivations, and I think that helps us understand them. And at least, if not, like, we don't forgive them or let them off the hook for what they do, but we get it to a degree. So I think that those are some of my favorite supervillains. Trying to think beyond that, into like literature and stuff. You know, I really liked the TV show Hannibal. I thought that that did a really impressive job of depicting Hannibal Lecter. I prefer that to Anthony Hopkins' version. But that's me. Your mileage may vary. Oh, I almost forgot that I was being watched for a minute there. I just started whistling like an idiot. Let's see, John White says Bridgman also has a separate book for just hands. That's good. Huey's Comics says, how's everyone doing tonight? I think we're all doing pretty well. I know I am. I think in a little bit I'll finish this up and go out and maybe get some like New York hot dog or something off a food truck. Take advantage of where I am. It's the kind of classy guy I am. So this is frustrating that like happened, that I didn't have a good whiteout pen. That means this is kind of ruined. Not much I can do about that. I don't know what else I really would want to add to this guy. Like, this is a character that I'd actually, like, the more I look at him, the more I'd sort of want to play with some really unique coloring to sort of give him maybe like a plasticky sort of feel instead of just coloring this like I would cloth. Maybe I'd give it some more extreme highlights. So I'd probably, if I was drawing Elongated Man, I'd probably like leave him a little less detailed than some other drawings. I'd probably like leave the line art fairly clean so that the colorist could do something with it. Or if I was drawing in black and white, I think that this would be a fantastic opportunity to use Zipatone to apply unique texture. I think that that could also accomplish my idea of making him look just a little bit less less like a guy in a costume and a little bit more like some sort of like rubbery plastic being. Don't want to like lose his humanity. I want to have like a pretty expressive human face, but in terms of like the detail and stuff, I think I might really have a lot of fun with the coloring. I'm not saying that that's the only way to approach this character, because I'm sure that somebody like Mike Mignola could approach this, throw down some really heavy shadows, and it would look incredible. And all of a sudden, Elongated Man would be everybody's superhero favorite for a few weeks. Oh man, now I'm thinking about that. Like Mike Mignola on a character as sort of goofy as Elongated Man? No, he could do such a good job, both as a writer and an artist, because Mignola's Hellboy is all sort of based in mysteries about mythology, and Ralph Dibny, the Elongated Man, is a detective that solves mysteries. I think that Mignola also has a really kind of funny sense of humor. I think that he'd be a really good fit, actually, on this character. That just strikes me as sort of a fun, cool idea. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm biased, maybe, because he's one of my favorites. Ready for Friday, says John White. Good. Yeah, that's true. Not everybody is on vacation. Jake Terlecki says, I had some good success with white ink from a jar. I'm sure. This is really disappointing, like how badly this white gel pen worked. I mean, maybe I should have guessed that because this is gel, not ink. But it did not work like I'd hoped. So, frustrating. I think that's probably about all I'm going to do for today, guys. Just because I don't really have an ideal setup here, and I kind of want to explore New York tonight. I hope you'll bear with me over the next couple of days. I'm still going to try to do this experiment, but it's probably going to be a little bit different than the drawings that I'll do at home, where I can be a little more relaxed and comfortable and have access to other tools. Like if this gel pen wasn't working at home, I'd have gone to get some whiteout, and instead I really have no way of fixing this. So this is just a gross smudge, and I gotta live with it. I'll let me just do one thing here. Okay. I don't know why I just felt like I needed to do that. I'm going to bring this up a little closer here. Copic, maybe? Yeah, probably. Is this, did I center that? Maybe a little more like this? Anyway, that's what I did tonight. I really appreciate everybody being here. I know this is a little less than an hour, and I like to usually do at least an hour, but I just also feel like I'm not really, I don't know, this came out, you know, interesting, but I personally don't really care for it. I think I made too many mistakes, but you just got to push forward during this this period. I'm not upset that I made these mistakes, but I do look at it and I see a lot of mistakes. I would approach this differently. If I'd had more time, I probably would have drawn something like this in pencil originally, light boxed it onto another sheet of paper, and then inked it. That's closer to what I've been doing, but I don't have the time to do that while I'm in New York. So anyway, this is what I created for tonight. I enjoyed talking to everybody, and keep reading comics. See y'all.